Now then, welcome back to the channel. I'm Andy and I'm an amateur landscape photographer. This video is all about composition and how I compose my photographs as an amateur. Come to this magnificent place called Blea Tarn in the Lake District, which is quite an iconic place to take photographs. So if you love photography, stay tuned, because I'm going to show you how I, as an amateur, set my camera up to take shots like this.
To be free, we came to be. The moon settles upon the night sky. For how long have we been driving by? For how long have we been driving by?
Okay, welcome back. I've come to Blea Tarn in the Lake District, and this place I've seen on photographs before, but I didn't realise it'd be quite as stunning as it actually is. Just wanted to talk a little bit about composition, and I think that certainly as an amateur, when I started looking for videos on YouTube about composition, I was just bombarded with this is what you should do, that's what you should do, law of thirds, you know, you need to have a strong foreground, leading lines, and it just became all really confusing. And then I remember seeing a video, and I can't remember whose video it was, but they said that basically the only rule in composition is that there are no rules, and if it looks good to you, then that's all that matters. So I think there are some things that you can use to enhance your photographs, and I'm going to go through a few of those as I'm going to try and take this shot of Blea Tarn today. But generally, I think balance is the key, and if you can balance your photograph, then you're onto a winner straight away. So I've got this idea of a shot in mind here, because I've seen some photographs that have been taken in this location before, and I'm not going to try and reinvent the wheel. I just want to get a nice photograph that looks good, that I can hang on the wall. So let's see if we can find a composition. I'm going to have a look around and see if there's anything that sort of stands out to me, and I'll put you back on in a second and show you what I found, and I'll also go through with I'll record it on the mobile, the settings that I'm going to use on the camera and the lens that I'm going to use and things like that. But this place is absolutely magical. Wow. Okay, so I want to just try and show you what I've got here. Basically, we've got the fence that's going to lead us into the photograph, to the Langdales at the back, and I'm getting bitten to death by midges, but hey ho. So on the camera, I'm not sure if this is going to work. I might jump the other side of the wall in a minute. On the other side, that's basically what the shot's going to look like. So I'm trying to use the grass and the fence on the right hand side as a sort of anchor and a leading line, and then that's balanced by the trees on the left hand side, and then you've obviously got the Langdales in the distance. So balance wise, I think it works. My only concern is that because of the conditions, I'm shooting this at f14 because I think that's going to give me a big enough depth of field, is that the shutter speed is quite slow. I'm in aperture priority mode at the moment, and it's not going to really give me a clear view of the water. The water's going to look maybe a little bit blurred, but you can't have everything. So I'm going to try this and see what that looks like, but I'm also just going to jump the other side of the wall and see if I can use this fence as a leading line on the other side. My only worry that is I think it might be too unbalanced, because I think that fence on the left hand side with those trees, I think is going to unbalance the image. But we'll wait and see. We'll have a look, and plenty of time yet, provided I don't get bitten to death and die of midgie bites, because it's absolutely horrendous down here. But that's what I'm thinking. So anyway, see if it works. Okay, I've moved a little bit further down now, because I was just finding that that rock that was over there, when you use the wide angle lens, you really want to be as close as you possibly can be to the subject in the front of the photograph. So here I've gone as far as I dare. You can probably see camera is in water and it's leaning over, so I've got to take this pretty quick, but I think that that is a far better composition. I've lowered it down as well so that it's just looking over the top of the rock. And I think that the most important thing when we talk about composition is the question we've got to ask and answer is, what are we taking a photograph of? So in this photograph, my subject are these three rocks here, and hopefully we're going to get some beautiful light that's going to come out on the Langdales behind, and that's going to just set the whole image off. I've lowered the camera down so that I don't get as much of the lake. If you can see that basically by lowering the camera down, my mid-ground gets smaller, whereas if I stand up, the mid-ground gets bigger. And what I want to try and do is create a feeling of depth through a large foreground moving into a beautiful background. So we'll see if this works. And I'm going to go on a short or long exposure with this, so I'll put this one up now. Okay, so I've changed my lens over to my 18 to 70mm Nikkor now, because just finding with the wide angle I wasn't able to get these mountains to come closer. They just felt too far away, and I know they've got that white car still there, but he'll move eventually, I'm sure. So I've changed that over. I've got the 10-stop ND filter on and a polarizer as well, which I don't know if that's going to work, but we'll give it a go. One thing I would say is though, when you lower your tripod down like this, like I've got mine, make sure that you keep your timer tied up to it, because mine's just been for a swim. It's still working, but I'm not sure for how much longer. But we'll see. It's just absolutely superb out here tonight. Really, really good. Just need, you can see that I've got some blue sky behind me, but I just need this cloud here to just break up a little bit and just cast some light onto the mountains there. But we'll keep fingers crossed and we'll see what happens. But absolutely superb. Wow, brilliant, absolutely great.
Meets me at down, don't look back. Run along with the golden bird. My dear home is where your heart is pounding. My dear home is where.
I just had to show you this, because if it wasn't bad enough, the sun is now shining on that guy's car. It's like this beacon in the shot. So it's not shining on the mountains, but it's shining on the car. So I thought, well, I'll just share that with you because it's just incredible. But the light is coming out, as you can see, coming on these hills here. So I'm going to flip the camera around and take a couple of shots there, I think. But I just thought, you know, it's sod's law in it that you want it to go on the mountains and it goes on the thing you're going to have to take out the photograph when you've taken it. So all good fun, all good fun.
Run along with the golden bird. My dear home is where your heart is pounding. My dear home is where your heart is pounding.
Okay, so while I'm sat here on a rock waiting for the sun and for this guy to go and move his car, I just thought I'd touch on some things about composition really. And if you go on YouTube, you'll see loads of different videos on how you should do it, what you should look for, and the ones that I tend to find were really useful was this law of thirds, where you'd split the camera image into three, and you try and fill the foreground with two thirds and the sky with a third, or the foreground with 1/3 and the sky with 2, depending on what you were photographing. I found that was useful, but I tend to find with that I was falling into the trap that every time I picked my camera up I was trying to take photographs using that method. So the other method that I use is that if you imagine splitting your camera view into like 9 boxes, and the box in the middle, basically trying to put your subject on one of the cross points in that box, and I find that's really useful. I use that a lot, to be honest, but I always tend to find when I go for long exposure I'm drawn to that, which is a fault really. But I like my subject in the middle of my long exposure because I like it to feel very minimalist and draw your eye straight to it and then allow it to flow into the distance. So I try and get close to my subject in the middle and then allow it to fall away into the background. And I'm just looking over on that hill, and I think that might be the guy that owns that white car. So it looks like he might be moving it, which is a good thing. But unfortunately, as you'll see, the clouds are still not breaking up. They're breaking up behind me, but they're not breaking up. I think the wind's blowing this way as well, so we've just got to look at the draw. Let's just see what happens. But beautiful just to sit here. Really nice, peaceful and quiet. So superb. I'll come back in a few minutes, hopefully when this guy's moved his car, and get this photograph. It's looking a little bit more promising. It's definitely brightening up behind, so the cloud seems to be thinning, so that's a positive. Whether it's going to thin enough to get any sort of sunset, I don't know, but we live in hope, as they say. It's cold here now. Been sat here for about 3.5 hours, and I'm starting to feel the cold, and I've left my coffee in the car, which was a mistake. You see, that sky there, if you were my friend Lee, you'd just whack it into Luminar 4 and you'd just put a different sky on it, and happy days, it's all done for you. But I think you've got to take the photograph as it is there. So we're going to sit this out. It does look like it might just come good. This, we'll just have to wait and see. The car's still there though, so I'm hoping they're not camping, because otherwise it ain't going to be moving. But I can always I'll just crop that out in post if it's still there by the time we leave. But it's absolutely superb here, really is. So we'll wait and see. Fingers crossed. Check in. The clouds now have broken up. I've changed my lens. I'm back on the wide angle, the 11 to 16mm Tachyna. I'm bracketing the shot, so I've basically set up 3 photographs. One's going to be 2 stops underexposed, one's going to be exposed correctly, and one's 2 stops overexposed. When I get it into Lightroom, I'll merge them. The only thing is, the car's still there. What can you do? You can't have everything, but certainly more promising. The sky, the light to this side looks really good, so I'm really hopeful. I think we might get something. I really do. So just shows you might be rewarded for all your efforts, but we'll wait and see. Fingers crossed. It. And as with landscape photography, sometimes it doesn't work out, so I didn't get the beautiful sunset that I thought I was going to get, but I've had a great time doing this. It's been great fun, and you know, it's a beautiful place to come. So if you ever get the chance, Blea Tarn is definitely worth a visit. So if you like the content, please don't hesitate, subscribe, comment, hit the bell button, and comments would be great. Anybody that's got any tips, advice for me, I'd absolutely love that. But yeah, it's a beautiful place, and the next video is going to be like this, I think, moving forward, where I'm going to go out on location and do a bit, rather than sort of go in the studio and do all that sort of stuff. It's going to be more like this, so I hope you like it, and until next time, thanks very much for watching. Wow, superb.
Meets me at down, don't look back. Run along with the golden bird. My dear home is where your heart is pounding. My dear home is where your heart is pounding. The road goes by, the trains go by, life goes by, but time is still. Dear home is where your heart is bound.